1 hour. That's all. Not 10 years, not perfect timing, not unlimited motivation. Just 1 focused hour every single day. Most people believe their lives are controlled by luck, talent, or opportunity. They're wrong. Lives change because habits change. Habits change because time is redirected. The average person wastes hours every day without noticing. The successful person protects 1 hour like it is priceless. 1 hour becomes 1 skill. 1 skill becomes confidence. Confidence becomes opportunity. Opportunity becomes a completely different life. You don't need a different future. You need a different hour. Remember this throughout this audiobook. 1 hour repeated becomes a different identity. Today, you stop waiting. Today, your 1 hour begins. Like, share, subscribe now. Claim your hour before the world claims you. Every person wakes up with the same gift. 24 hours. Not 25, not 26, 24. The billionaire has 24 hours. The athlete has 24 hours. The artist has 24 hours. The entrepreneur has 24 hours. And you have 24 hours. So why do some people completely transform their lives while others remain exactly where they started? The answer is not hidden in talent. It is not hidden in intelligence. It is not hidden in luck. It is hidden inside 1 hour. Just one. 1 hour that belongs to you before it belongs to everyone else. That is the key. Most people don't lose their dreams because they are incapable. They lose them because their day gets stolen. The phone steals it. The television steals it. Social media steals it. Random conversations steal it. Endless scrolling steals it. Notifications steal it. Other people's emergencies steal it. Before they realize what happened, another day disappears. Another week disappears. Another year disappears. Then they wonder why nothing changed. Nothing changed because they changed nothing. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You can allow your hours to disappear unnoticed, or you can claim 1 hour and completely change the direction of your life. 1 hour sounds small. It feels insignificant. People underestimate it because they measure success by giant moments. They believe success requires dramatic sacrifices, huge risks, perfect timing, massive motivation. It doesn't. Success grows quietly. It grows while nobody is watching. It grows during ordinary mornings, ordinary evenings, ordinary days. 1 focused hour repeated hundreds of times becomes an extraordinary life. That is the key. Look at your life honestly, not emotionally, honestly. What do you repeatedly do? Because that is exactly who you are becoming. If every evening disappears into entertainment, you become someone entertained. If every morning begins with distraction, you become someone distracted. If every day contains 1 hour of focused improvement, you become someone impossible to stop. Identity follows repetition, not intention. Many people intend to become successful. Very few repeatedly act like successful people. That difference changes everything. You don't become disciplined because you feel disciplined. You become disciplined because you repeatedly practice discipline. You don't become confident because confidence magically appears. Confidence grows after keeping promises to yourself. Every completed hour says something. It says, I can trust myself. That sentence changes lives. Because once you trust yourself, everything changes. Think about that. If someone promised to meet you every day and never arrived, would you trust them? Of course not. Yet many people make promises to themselves every single morning. I'll start today. I'll work out tonight. I'll study later. I'll write tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes, nothing happens. Another promise broken. Eventually, they stop believing themselves. That is one of the greatest tragedies in life. Not failure, self-distrust. Because once you stop believing your own promises, you stop attempting big goals. You assume you won't follow through anyway. So your dreams become smaller. Your ambitions become quieter. Your confidence slowly disappears. You have a choice. Keep breaking promises or begin keeping one. 1 hour, every day. No excuses, no negotiations, no waiting for motivation. Because motivation is unreliable. Discipline is reliable. That is the key. Stop asking yourself, do I feel like doing it? Start asking, is this my scheduled hour? If the answer is yes, you begin. No debate, no discussion, no emotional negotiation, just action. Action before emotion. Action before comfort. Action before confidence. Because confidence follows action, not the other way around. People often say, I don't have time. Listen carefully. That sentence is rarely true. Most people don't have a time problem. They have a priority problem. Watch someone's screen time report. Watch where weekends disappear. Watch how often phones get unlocked. Watch how many hours vanish into meaningless consumption. The hours exist. They are simply being invested somewhere else. Money reveals priorities. Time reveals them even more. Because unlike money, time never comes back. Every wasted hour disappears forever. Every invested hour stays with you forever. One becomes regret. The other becomes growth. You have a choice every single day. Invest or consume. Build or distract yourself. Grow or remain comfortable. Comfort feels good today. Growth feels good forever. That is the key. The world will always offer you something easier than growth. That is why so many people stay exactly where they are. Comfort is always available. Distraction is always available. Excuses are always available. Growth is not. Growth requires a decision. Growth requires intention. Growth requires protecting something the world is constantly trying to steal: your hour. Think about how your average day begins. Before your feet even touch the floor, many people reach for their phones. One notification becomes 5, 5 become 20, 20 become 30 minutes, 30 minutes become an hour. The day has already been claimed, not by purpose, by distraction. That is how lives slowly drift away, not through one terrible decision, through thousands of tiny ones. That is why you must claim your hour before the world claims you. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect circumstances. You don't need a brand new planner. You don't need expensive equipment. You don't need a motivational speech every morning. You need one decision. Protect the hour, protect your future. Say those words again. Protect the hour, protect your future. Because those two ideas cannot be separated. Every future you admire was built inside ordinary hours that nobody applauded. Nobody celebrates someone reading another chapter of a book. Nobody cheers when someone practices a skill alone. Nobody notices another workout. Nobody sees another quiet writing session. Nobody watches another hour of study. Yet those invisible hours create visible success. People only notice the results. They rarely respect the process. That is why you cannot work for applause. You must work for progress. That is the key. Progress is private before it becomes public. A tree grows underground before it rises above the soil. A building begins with a foundation no one ever sees. Your future works the same way. Your greatest growth will happen in silence. Don't fear that. Welcome it. Silence is where transformation lives. When nobody expects anything from you, you build. When nobody is watching, you improve. When nobody is applauding, you continue. That is real discipline. Discipline is continuing after excitement disappears. Anyone can work hard for one day. Anyone can stay motivated for one weekend. Anyone can become inspired after watching a video. But what happens on Tuesday? What happens 3 weeks later? What happens when nobody reminds you? That is where identities are created. Not on exciting days, on ordinary ones. Especially the boring ones. Especially the difficult ones. Especially the days when you would rather do anything else. You have a choice. Follow your feelings or follow your schedule. Feelings change. Schedules remain. That is why successful people build systems instead of depending on motivation. Let's talk about systems. Most people make goals. Few people build systems. A goal says, I want to become healthier. A system says, every morning from 7 to 8, I exercise. A goal says, I want to read more. A system says, I read 20 pages every evening before sleeping. A goal says, I want financial freedom. A system says, I study my business every day from 6 until 7. See the difference? Goals inspire. Systems produce. That is the key. If you only have goals, you depend on emotion. If you have systems, you depend on routine. Routine beats emotion every time. Emotion is unpredictable. Routine is dependable. Stop making daily decisions. Make one decision, then repeat it. Choose the hour, choose the location, choose the activity. Repeat tomorrow. Repeat next week. Repeat next month. That repetition changes identity. Identity changes destiny. Remember that. Identity changes destiny. Who you become matters more than what you accomplish, because accomplishments fade, identity remains. Someone who becomes disciplined will continue succeeding long after one goal is completed. Someone who only reaches one goal without changing their identity often returns to old habits. Become the person first, the results will follow. Now think about your environment. Look around you. What is helping your growth? What is hurting it? Your environment is stronger than your willpower. That's why a clean workspace matters. That's why an organized desk matters. That's why keeping your phone out of reach matters. That's why preparing your materials the night before matters. Good decisions should become easy. Bad decisions should become difficult. If your phone sits beside your notebook, which one will you naturally reach for? If unhealthy food fills your kitchen, what will you naturally eat? If your television dominates your room, what will your attention naturally follow? Your environment is constantly making decisions for you. Design it carefully. Successful people don't simply resist distraction, they remove it. That is a powerful difference. Don't fight temptation every day. Reduce it. Move the phone, turn off notifications, close unnecessary tabs. Prepare your workspace. Lay out your workout clothes. Open the book before bedtime. Place the notebook on your desk. Make growth obvious. Make distraction inconvenient. Small adjustments produce massive changes. Again, small adjustments produce massive changes. 1% better every day.
That sounds insignificant until you multiply it across years. One extra page every day becomes dozens of books. One workout becomes hundreds. 1 hour of practice becomes thousands. One conversation becomes improved communication. One lesson becomes expertise. People dramatically overestimate what they can achieve in 1 week. They dramatically underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years because they ignore compound growth. Growth compounds exactly like money. Each investment earns another. Each lesson connects with another. Each habit strengthens another. Every hour becomes easier than the previous one, not because the work changes, because you change. You become stronger. You become wiser. You become more focused. You become more disciplined. You become someone who no longer argues with themselves every morning. Imagine that freedom. Imagine waking up without debating whether to improve yourself. You simply begin. No excuses, no delay, no negotiation. Action becomes automatic. That is real freedom. Many people believe freedom means doing whatever they want. Not quite. Real freedom is having enough discipline that your future is no longer controlled by your temporary emotions. That is freedom. Freedom from procrastination, freedom from excuses, freedom from distraction, freedom from regret. Discipline creates freedom. Remember those words. Discipline creates freedom. The person without discipline becomes controlled by circumstances. The disciplined person creates circumstances. One reacts, the other leads. Which person do you want to become? You have a choice every morning, every evening, every hour. Protect the hour. Protect your future. Because the next hour you protect is not just another 60 minutes, it is another vote for the person you are becoming. And the person you repeatedly become will eventually create the life you repeatedly imagined. That is the key. In the next part of this journey, you'll discover why consistency, not intensity, is the true force behind extraordinary transformation, and how ordinary daily actions become an unstoppable life.
Consistency is not exciting. That is exactly why it is so powerful. The world celebrates dramatic moments, a huge promotion, a viral success, a championship victory, a best-selling book. People see the finish line. They rarely see the thousands of ordinary hours that made the finish line possible. That is where most people get discouraged. They compare someone's public success to their own private beginning. They forget that every master was once unknown, every expert was once inexperienced, every confident speaker once stumbled over simple words, every successful entrepreneur once doubted their own ideas, every athlete once struggled through exhausting practice. The difference was never perfection. The difference was consistency. Consistency kept them moving after motivation disappeared. Consistency carried them through days that felt ordinary. Consistency built momentum. Momentum built confidence. Confidence built courage. Courage created opportunity. That is the chain. Break consistency and the entire chain weakens. Protect consistency and the chain becomes unbreakable. You have a choice. Chase excitement or build consistency. Excitement feels powerful. Consistency is powerful. There is a difference. Think about rain. One heavy storm can flood the streets, but it cannot grow a forest. A forest grows because rain returns again and again, steady, reliable, patient. Your life grows the same way. One incredible day will not change your future. 100 ordinary days will. That is the key. Never underestimate ordinary effort. Ordinary effort repeated becomes extraordinary achievement.
Many people fail because they expect transformation to feel dramatic. They believe there should be fireworks, instant confidence, instant skill, instant results. Life doesn't work that way. Transformation is usually invisible before it becomes obvious. The person reading every day doesn't suddenly become intelligent overnight. The knowledge accumulates quietly. The person exercising doesn't suddenly become stronger. Strength accumulates quietly. The person practicing communication doesn't suddenly become charismatic. Confidence accumulates quietly. Everything worthwhile compounds in silence. That is why patience matters. Patience is not waiting. Patience is continuing while you wait. There is a difference. Anyone can wait.
Few people continue working while they wait. That is why patience without action is useless. Action without patience often leads to quitting. You need both, action and patience. Repeat that. Action and patience. That is the key. Sometimes you will complete your hour and feel like nothing happened. Good. Do it again tomorrow. Sometimes you will study and remember almost nothing. Good. Study again tomorrow. Sometimes you will write pages you don't like. Good. Write again tomorrow. Sometimes your workout will feel weak. Good. Show up again tomorrow. Success does not ask whether every day was perfect. Success asks one question. Did you return? Did you come back? Because winners always come back. Not because they always feel strong, because they made a decision long ago. They decided quitting was no longer an option. That decision changes everything. Imagine climbing a mountain. If you stop every few steps and walk back down, you never reach the top. But if you continue taking one step, then another, eventually you stand somewhere that once seemed impossible. Life works exactly the same way. Progress is measured in steps, not leaps. One page, one workout, one lesson, one conversation, one focused hour, again. That repetition creates a life most people mistake for talent. People love to call successful people gifted. It makes failure easier to explain. It protects excuses. Because if success only belongs to talented people, then nobody else has responsibility. But that story is false. Talent may help. Discipline lasts longer. Natural ability may open one door. Consistency builds the entire house. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need everyone's approval. You don't need their permission. You need your commitment. That is enough. Never underestimate commitment. Commitment keeps working after feelings disappear. Feelings say, "I'm tired." Commitment says, "I keep my promises." Feelings say, "I'll start next week." Commitment says, "My hour begins now." Feelings say, "I deserve a break." Commitment asks, "Have I earned one?" That difference creates completely different lives. Your emotions are visitors. Your principles are permanent. Build your life on principles, not moods. One principle can completely transform your future. Here is one. No 0 days. No matter how busy life becomes, protect the hour. If circumstances force your schedule to change, adapt, but don't disappear. Don't vanish for weeks waiting for the perfect moment. Perfection never arrives. Action can begin today, always. Remember this truth. Missing one day is a mistake. Missing 10 days becomes a habit. Protect your habits before they disappear. Habits are easier to maintain than to rebuild. That is why consistency matters so much.
Every day you complete your hour, something invisible happens. Your self-respect grows. You begin trusting yourself. Your internal voice changes. Instead of saying, "I never finish anything," you begin saying, "I always show up." That sentence is powerful because identity follows evidence. Every completed hour becomes evidence. Evidence creates belief. Belief changes behavior. Behavior changes life. That is the key. Never wait until you believe in yourself before taking action. Take action, then belief catches up. Many people get this backwards. They wait for confidence. Confidence is waiting for them, waiting for proof, waiting for evidence, waiting for one completed hour, then another, then another. Soon, confidence is no longer borrowed from motivational videos. It is earned. Earned confidence lasts. Borrowed motivation fades. There's a huge difference. Earn your confidence. Earn your discipline. Earn your future, 1 hour at a time. As you continue this journey, remember these truths. 1 hour is enough. You have a choice. Consistency creates confidence. Discipline creates freedom. You don't need their permission. Protect the hour. Protect your future. These are not just motivational phrases. They are instructions. Live them, repeat them, become them. Because the life you want is not built in one extraordinary moment. It is built in the ordinary hour you refuse to surrender. And once you master that hour, you begin to master yourself. That is where every lasting transformation truly begins.
Now ask yourself one question, not next year, not next month, right now. Who is controlling your day? Is it you, or is it everything around you? Be honest, because honesty is where transformation begins. Many people lie to themselves without realizing it. They say they are busy, but they are distracted. They say they are tired, but they are mentally exhausted from consuming too much information and creating too little value. They say they are waiting for the right opportunity, but they ignore the opportunity sitting quietly inside today's hour. The truth is often uncomfortable. That is why most people avoid it. But truth has something comfort never gives you: freedom. You cannot change what you refuse to admit. So admit it. Maybe you've wasted time. Maybe you've postponed your dreams. Maybe you've spent years preparing instead of beginning. Good. Now leave it behind. Do not waste another hour regretting yesterday. Regret teaches. It should never become your permanent address. Learn the lesson. Carry the wisdom. Leave the guilt. You have a choice. Start now. That is the key. The clock does not care about your excuses. Time never pauses because you feel uncertain. It keeps moving. Every minute asks you the same question: what will you do with me? Some people spend that minute complaining. Others spend it creating. Some spend it scrolling. Others spend it studying. Some spend it blaming. Others spend it building. The minute is the same. The decision is different. That decision shapes your future. Every hour you protect is a declaration. It says, "My future matters more than my comfort." That sentence alone separates leaders from followers. Followers react. Leaders prepare. Followers wait. Leaders begin. Which one are you becoming? Not which one do you admire. Which one are you becoming? Because admiration without action changes nothing. Reading books without applying them changes nothing. Watching motivational videos without changing your habits changes nothing. Listening to this audiobook without protecting your hour changes nothing.
Knowledge is only potential.
Action turns potential into reality. That is the key. Never confuse learning with doing. Learning is important. Doing is essential. There are people who know exactly how to become healthier. They never exercise. There are people who know exactly how to build wealth. They never save. There are people who know exactly how to become more confident. They never step outside their comfort zone. Knowledge alone cannot transform a life. Applied knowledge can. So every time you finish learning something, ask yourself one question. What will I do today? Not someday, today. Action removes confusion. Movement creates clarity. Many people wait until they see the whole path. Successful people take the first step, then the second becomes visible, then the third. Clarity follows movement, not waiting. Remember that. You don't need the entire map. You only need today's assignment. Protect 1 hour. Do meaningful work. Repeat tomorrow. Life becomes much simpler when you stop trying to solve the next 10 years and start mastering the next 60 minutes. 1 hour. That's your responsibility. Not next year, this hour. Imagine placing 1 brick every single day. 1 brick doesn't look impressive, neither does the second or the 10th. But after hundreds of days, there is a wall. After thousands, there is a building. People admire the building, they overlook the bricks. Your daily hour is 1 brick. Never disrespect a brick because it seems small. Small actions become great lives. Say it again. Small actions become great lives. That isn't just motivation, it is reality. Every meaningful relationship grows through small conversations. Every strong body grows through small workouts. Every successful business grows through small improvements. Every great book grows 1 page at a time. Everything lasting grows gradually. Nature teaches this lesson every day. The sun rises a little at a time. A child grows a little at a time. A tree grows a little at a time. Yet human beings often expect instant transformation. Be patient enough to grow naturally. Be disciplined enough to grow daily. Those 2 qualities together are unstoppable. Now, think about your future self, 5 years from today. Imagine meeting that person. What would they thank you for? Would they thank you for another year of excuses? Another year of procrastination? Another year of distraction? No. They would thank you for today's hour, because today's hour becomes tomorrow's opportunities. The future version of you is built by the present version of you. Nobody else can build that person. Nobody else can protect your hour. Nobody else can create your habits. Nobody else can make your decisions. Responsibility may feel heavy, but it is also empowering. Because if your choices created your current direction, new choices can create a new direction. That means your future is not fixed, it is flexible. That is powerful. Many people spend years wishing life were easier. Ask a better question. How can I become stronger? Life will always present challenges, deadlines, disappointments, unexpected problems, criticism, failure. None of those disappear, but you become more capable. And capability is built 1 hour at a time. Every focused hour strengthens your mind. Every completed promise strengthens your character. Every disciplined decision strengthens your future. That is why discipline is an investment. The reward doesn't always arrive today. It arrives when life becomes difficult. Because disciplined people are prepared. Prepared people remain calm. Prepared people adapt. Prepared people continue moving while others stop. Preparation creates confidence. Confidence creates action. Action creates results. Results reinforce discipline.
the cycle continues. That is the cycle you want, not the cycle of excuses, not the cycle of delay, not the cycle of regret. Build the cycle of action, 1 hour, every day, without negotiation, without drama, without waiting for perfect conditions. Remember these truths until they become part of your identity. 1 hour is enough. You have a choice. Consistency creates confidence. Discipline creates freedom. You don't need their permission. Small actions become great lives. Protect the hour. Protect your future. These words are more than reminders. They are a way of living, a promise you make to yourself, a promise you keep. Because every time you honor your hour, you are proving something far more important than your ability to work. You are proving that you are becoming someone who can be trusted, trusted by others, trusted by your future, most importantly, trusted by yourself. And when you reach that point, something extraordinary happens. Success is no longer something you chase. It becomes the natural result of the person you have chosen to become. That is the ultimate lesson of this chapter. Claim your hour before the world claims you. Because if you can master 1 hour, you can master 1 day. Master enough days, you master your habits. Master your habits, you master your character. Master your character, and eventually, you master your life. In the next chapter, you'll discover how to turn that protected hour into unstoppable momentum so that discipline no longer feels like effort, but becomes your new identity.
The hour that decides your life. Before you move forward, pause for 1 moment. Not to rest, to decide. Because information without decision becomes entertainment. Information with decision becomes transformation. This chapter was never about time. It was about ownership. Ownership of your attention. Ownership of your habits. Ownership of your future. The world is always competing for your focus. Advertisements want it. Social media wants it. Breaking news wants it. Endless notifications want it. Other people's opinions want it. Everyone is asking for one thing: your attention. Because attention is your life. Where your attention goes, your future follows. That is the key. If you protect your attention, you protect your future. If you lose your attention, you slowly lose your future. Most people never notice this happening. Nothing dramatic occurs. There is no warning siren, no flashing lights, just another hour gone, another day, another month, another year. Then they wake up wondering where their life went. It disappeared 1 distracted hour at a time. Do not let that become your story. You have a choice. Starting today, become intentional, become disciplined, become impossible to distract. Not because distraction disappears, because your purpose becomes stronger than distraction. Purpose gives your hour meaning. Discipline protects that meaning. Consistency multiplies that meaning. Those 3 together can change an ordinary life into an extraordinary one. Remember what you've learned. 1 hour is enough. Not because 60 minutes is magical, because 60 focused minutes repeated for years becomes unstoppable. Never underestimate compound effort. 1 page becomes a library of knowledge. 1 workout becomes a stronger body. 1 conversation becomes confidence. 1 lesson becomes expertise. 1 disciplined hour becomes a different identity. That is the key. Identity is everything. Goals may inspire you. Identity sustains you.
Do not wake up asking, "What do I need to accomplish today?" Wake up asking, "Who am I becoming today?" Those are completely different questions. The first focuses on results. The second focuses on character. Results come and go. Character remains. Build the character, and the results will keep returning. Become the kind of person who shows up. Become the kind of person who finishes. Become the kind of person who keeps promises. Become the kind of person who protects the hour. Because once you become that person, success stops feeling lucky, it becomes predictable. There will still be difficult days. Do not expect an easy road. Expect a meaningful one. Some mornings you will feel energized. Some mornings you won't. Protect the hour anyway. Some days progress will be obvious. Some days it will feel invisible. Protect the hour anyway. Some people will support your growth. Some will question it. Protect the hour anyway. You don't need their permission. You need your commitment. That is enough. One of the greatest lies people believe is this: I'll start when life settles down. Life rarely settles down. There will always be another responsibility, another challenge, another reason to postpone. If you wait for perfect conditions, you may wait forever. Start where you are. Use what you have. Protect the hour. That is how extraordinary lives begin, not with perfect circumstances, with consistent decisions. Years from now, you will look back on this season of your life. One of two things will happen. You'll either say, "I'm glad I started," or you'll say, "I wish I had started sooner." Choose the first story. You have a choice. Every sunrise gives you another opportunity to vote for the person you want to become. Cast that vote wisely. Protect your hour. Protect your future. And never forget the truths that will guide you long after this chapter ends. 1 hour is enough. You have a choice. Consistency creates confidence. Discipline creates freedom. Small actions become great lives. You don't need their permission. Protect your hour. Protect your future. Carry those words with you. Repeat them until they become your instinct. Live them until they become your identity. Because the most important hour of your life is not yesterday's. It is not tomorrow's. It is the one waiting for you today. Claim it. Honor it. Use it. And watch your life become something your past self would hardly recognize. This is not the end of your journey. It is the end of your excuses. The next chapter will build on this foundation by showing you how a single disciplined hour grows into unstoppable momentum, until success is no longer something you force, but something your daily habits naturally create.
Build momentum until discipline becomes your identity. There is something more powerful than motivation, more powerful than talent, more powerful than intelligence: momentum. Momentum changes everything. A train sitting still requires enormous energy to move, but once it is moving, it keeps moving. That is exactly how your life works. The hardest part is not becoming successful. The hardest part is starting. The hardest part is showing up when nothing seems to be happening. The hardest part is protecting your hour long enough for momentum to appear. Because momentum is invisible in the beginning. It whispers before it roars. Most people quit during the whisper. They stop too early. They judge today's effort by today's results. That is a mistake. The results you see today usually come from work you did weeks ago. The confidence you feel today comes from promises you kept yesterday. The opportunities you receive tomorrow are being created by the actions you take today. Everything is connected. That is the key. You cannot separate today's discipline from tomorrow's success. They are part of the same story. Think about pushing a giant stone uphill. The first push feels impossible. Your muscles burn. Your mind questions the effort. You wonder if the stone will ever move. Then it shifts, just a little. Not enough for anyone else to notice, but you notice. That tiny movement matters because movement creates possibility. Soon the stone rolls a little farther, then farther still. Eventually, what once felt impossible becomes natural. Momentum has taken over. Life works the same way. The first day is difficult. The second day still feels uncomfortable. The first week tests your commitment. The second week tests your patience. The first month begins changing your identity. Then something remarkable happens. You no longer force yourself to protect your hour. It becomes part of who you are. That is the goal. Not to force discipline forever, to become disciplined. There is a difference. When discipline becomes your identity, you stop asking yourself whether you should work. You simply work. You stop debating whether to read. You simply read. You stop negotiating with distractions. You simply ignore them. That is freedom. Most people think discipline is a prison. The opposite is true. Indiscipline is the prison. Distraction is the prison. Procrastination is the prison. Discipline is the escape. Remember those words. Discipline is the escape. Every decision you make either strengthens your future identity or weakens it. Every hour matters. Every choice casts another vote. Who are you voting to become? Someone who always quits or someone who always returns? You have a choice, always. Not once a year, not once a month. Every single day. One choice, 1 hour, one promise kept. That is how momentum begins. Don't chase perfection. Chase repetition. Don't ask whether today's work is enough. Ask whether you showed up. Showing up is the victory, because people who consistently show up eventually become people who consistently succeed. Success is not an event. It is accumulated evidence. Evidence that you kept going. Evidence that you stayed committed. Evidence that you became someone your future could depend on. The world is full of people waiting for motivation. Become the person who moves without waiting. Become the person who acts before excuses appear. Become the person whose habits are stronger than temporary emotions. That is where real power begins. Momentum is no longer something you hope for. It becomes something you create. And once you learn to create momentum, very little can stop you. Remember these truths as you continue your journey. You have a choice. 1 hour is enough. Momentum rewards consistency. Discipline creates freedom. You don't need their permission. Protect the hour. Protect your future. This is only the beginning. Keep moving. Keep building. Keep becoming. Because the person you are becoming is far more important than the person you have been. Momentum is fragile in the beginning. That is something you must understand. The first few days are delicate. The first few weeks are even more important. This is the period where your old habits will fight back. Do not be surprised by it. Expect it. Your old identity does not disappear quietly. It resists. It whispers. Skip today. You deserve a break. You can always start tomorrow. Those words sound harmless. They are not. One skipped day can become a skipped week. One skipped week can become another year of regret. That is why you must recognize those thoughts for what they are. They are not instructions. They are temptations. You have a choice. Listen to them or let them pass. Every successful person learns one powerful skill. They stop believing every thought that enters their mind.
Just because you think something does not make it true. You may think you're too tired, but after 10 minutes of focused work, your energy returns. You may think you're not capable, but 1 month of practice proves otherwise. You may think it's too late, but 5 years from now, you'll wish you had started today. Thoughts are temporary. Actions create reality. That is the key. Never allow temporary thoughts to make permanent decisions. Your mind is a wonderful servant. It is a terrible master. Train it, lead it. Do not follow it blindly. Think of your mind as a young horse. If you never guide it, it runs wherever it wants, toward comfort, toward distraction, toward fear, toward excuses. But with patience and repetition, the horse learns to follow direction. Your mind works the same way. Each time you keep your promise to yourself, you strengthen your ability to lead your own thoughts. That is real self-control. Not controlling the world, controlling yourself. Because you cannot control the weather, you cannot control the economy, you cannot control other people, you cannot control yesterday, but you can control your next hour, and that is enough. Many people wait for life to become easier. Ask a different question. How can I become stronger? Life doesn't become easier, you become more capable. Every challenge becomes another opportunity to prove who you are becoming. When you complete your hour on a difficult day, that hour is worth more than 10 easy ones. Anyone can work when life is comfortable. Character is revealed when life becomes uncomfortable. That is why difficult days are gifts. They reveal your standards. Do your standards depend on convenience, or do they depend on commitment? Standards shape destiny. Raise your standards.
No more saying, I'll try. Say, I'll do it. No more saying, if I have time. Say, I make time. No more saying, I hope things change. Say, I will change. Language matters. The words you repeat become the beliefs you live. Speak like someone who takes responsibility. Act like someone who keeps promises. Think like someone who has already decided. Decision removes hesitation. Hesitation feeds procrastination. Procrastination steals momentum. Protect your momentum. Imagine pushing a bicycle. The first few pushes require effort. Once the wheels begin turning, balance becomes easier. Stop pedaling completely and the bicycle slows. Leave it long enough and it falls over. Your habits work the same way. Daily action keeps your balance. Daily action keeps your confidence alive. Daily action keeps your identity strong. Never assume yesterday's discipline is enough for today. Every sunrise is a new opportunity to vote for your future. Cast your vote again and again and again. This is why tracking your progress matters. Not because you need perfection, because you need proof. Proof that you're becoming reliable. Proof that you're changing. Proof that your identity is no longer based on empty promises. Keep a calendar. Mark every completed hour. Watch the chain grow. Then make one promise. Don't break the chain. Some days the work will be incredible. Some days it will simply be enough. Both count. Perfection is not required. Presence is. Remember that. Presence beats perfection, always. Many people quit because they miss one day. Then shame convinces them they've failed. Don't fall into that trap. If you miss one day, return the next, immediately. Do not wait until Monday. Do not wait until next month. Return now. Recovery is part of discipline. Nobody builds a perfect streak forever. The strongest people are simply the fastest at returning. That is the secret. Return quickly. protect the habit, protect the identity, protect the hour. Because every time you return, you send yourself an unmistakable message. I am the kind of person who does not stay down. That belief becomes your strength. Failure is not falling behind. Failure is refusing to get back up. You have a choice. Get back up every single time. Eventually, something incredible happens. Discipline no longer feels like work. It feels normal. Growth no longer feels uncomfortable. It feels expected. Protecting your hour no longer feels like sacrifice. It feels like self-respect. That is when you know your identity has changed. And once your identity changes, your actions begin working for you instead of against you. That is the key. You are no longer trying to become disciplined. You are disciplined. You are no longer trying to value your time. You value it naturally. You are no longer chasing a better future. You are building it every single day, 1 hour at a time, one promise at a time, one decision at a time. Keep moving, keep showing up, keep protecting your hour. Because momentum, once earned, becomes one of the greatest forces in your life. And every day you refuse to quit, you become living proof that consistency, not intensity, is what transforms ordinary people into extraordinary ones. There will come a day when you don't feel like showing up. Not because you're lazy, not because you've failed, simply because you're human. That day is coming. It comes for everyone: the student, the athlete, the entrepreneur, the writer, the leader. No one is exempt. When that day arrives, remember this: your future will not be shaped by your best days. It will be shaped by the days you wanted to quit but chose to continue. That is where transformation lives. Anyone can perform when everything feels easy. The real test begins when life becomes inconvenient, when you slept poorly, when work was exhausting, when problems appeared without warning, when your mind says, "Not today." That is the moment that matters, because every difficult day asks one simple question. Who are you? Not who do you want to become? Who are you right now? Are you someone who follows comfort or someone who follows commitment? That question deserves an honest answer. The answer is not found in your words. It is found in your actions. Your actions introduce you before your voice ever does. You may tell the world that discipline matters, but if you cannot protect 1 hour, your actions tell a different story. You may say that your dreams are important, but your calendar reveals your true priorities. That can be uncomfortable to hear. Good. Growth often begins with discomfort. Comfort rarely changes anyone. Discomfort forces adaptation. Adaptation creates strength. Strength creates confidence. Confidence creates courage. Courage creates opportunity. That is the cycle you want, not the cycle of comfort. Comfort creates delay. Delay creates excuses. Excuses create regret. Regret steals confidence, and the cycle repeats. Break the cycle. Today, not tomorrow, today. You have a choice. Every morning you wake up with 2 voices inside your mind. One voice wants comfort. The other wants growth. The loud voice says, "Stay in bed. Skip today's work. You deserve another break." The quiet voice says, "Stand up. Keep your promise. Your future is waiting." Most people listen to the loud voice because it demands immediate comfort. Successful people train themselves to obey the quiet one. That is discipline. Discipline is hearing both voices and choosing the one that serves your future. Never expect the voice of growth to become louder than the voice of comfort. Instead, become stronger than both. Lead your mind. Don't let it lead you. Remember this: your mind is designed to keep you comfortable. Your purpose is designed to make you grow. Growth and comfort rarely travel together. You must decide which one deserves your loyalty. There's another truth many people avoid. Every decision has a cost. Scrolling has a cost. Procrastination has a cost. Waiting has a cost. Complaining has a cost. The cost is invisible today, but it becomes painfully visible over time, a year later, 5 years later, 10 years later. People call it bad luck. Often it was simply accumulated neglect, neglecting 1 hour, neglecting one habit, neglecting one opportunity after another. The opposite is also true. Every disciplined hour pays interest. Every page you read pays interest. Every skill you practice pays interest. Every workout pays interest. Every meaningful conversation pays interest. The rewards don't always arrive immediately. They arrive when you least expect them. One day someone offers you an opportunity because of a skill you quietly built. One day you solve a difficult problem because of knowledge you patiently collected. One day you remain calm during chaos because discipline has trained your mind. People call that luck. You know better. It was preparation. Preparation disguised as ordinary days. That is why ordinary days matter so much. Never insult an ordinary day. Most of your life will be lived in ordinary days. Not holidays, not celebrations, not milestones. Tuesday mornings, Wednesday afternoons, quiet evenings, simple routines. If you can master ordinary days, extraordinary moments become inevitable. That is the key. Many people spend their lives waiting for inspiration. Become someone who creates inspiration through action. Action changes emotion, not the other way around. Think about the first 5 minutes of your protected hour. Those 5 minutes determine everything. If you hesitate, your mind starts negotiating. If I wait a little longer, if I check one message, if I watch one video, one becomes many. Minutes become hours. The opportunity disappears. Never negotiate with distraction. Decide before the debate begins. When your scheduled hour arrives, begin immediately. No countdown, no discussion, no permission. Just begin. Speed defeats excuses. The faster you begin, the weaker procrastination becomes. This is why routines are powerful. A routine removes unnecessary thinking. Imagine brushing your teeth. You don't spend 10 minutes deciding whether to do it, you simply do it. Your protected hour should become exactly like that: automatic, expected, non-negotiable. That is when discipline becomes identity. Identity is the strongest force in human behavior. People naturally protect whatever becomes part of who they believe they are. If someone believes, "I am a reader," reading becomes natural. If someone believes, "I am an athlete," training becomes expected. If someone believes, "I am disciplined," keeping promises becomes automatic. Stop trying to force behaviors that don't match your identity. Instead, build an identity that naturally produces those behaviors. How? Evidence. Every completed hour becomes evidence. Every promise kept becomes evidence. Every excuse rejected becomes evidence. Eventually, your mind accepts a new truth. This is who I am. That sentence changes everything, because once your identity changes, willpower becomes less important. The person who believes they are disciplined doesn't fight themselves every day. They simply live according to who they have become. That is your destination, not endless struggle.
natural consistency, natural commitment, natural focus, natural discipline. And it all begins the same way it began in the previous chapter. 1 hour, protected, respected, repeated, again and again and again. Remember these truths. You have a choice. 1 hour is enough. Small actions become great lives. Momentum rewards consistency. Discipline creates freedom. You don't need their permission. Protect the hour. Protect your future. These are no longer just words. They are becoming your operating system. Live by them. Return to them. Trust them. Because the person who wins in the end is rarely the most talented. It is usually the person who refused to stop showing up. Become that person, and your future will begin changing long before the world notices. 1 protected hour at a time.
This audiobook is ending, but your new life is not. In fact, it begins now. Not tomorrow morning, not next Monday, not when you have more money, not when life becomes easier. Now. Because everything you've heard comes down to one simple decision. Will you protect your hour, or will you surrender it? That is the question. Not once, every single day. Remember what you've learned. Your future is not created in one extraordinary moment. It is created in ordinary moments, repeated with extraordinary consistency. 1 hour, 1 promise, 1 decision. Again, again, again. That is how lives change. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need perfect confidence. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need everyone's approval. You don't need their permission. You only need today's hour. That is enough. When the world tells you to wait, begin. When your mind tells you to quit, continue. When fear tells you that you're not ready, take the next step anyway. Action creates clarity. Action creates confidence. Action creates momentum. Never forget that. There will be difficult days. There will be setbacks. There will be moments when progress feels invisible. Keep going. There will be mornings when discipline feels heavy. Protect the hour anyway. There will be evenings when distraction feels easier. Protect the hour anyway. There will be days when nobody notices your effort. Protect the hour anyway. Because you are not building your life for applause. You are building your life for freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to grow. Freedom to become the person you are capable of becoming all along. Years from today, people may look at your success and call you lucky. Smile. Because you'll know the truth. Luck didn't build your future. Discipline did. The world didn't change your life. 1 protected hour did. Never underestimate the power of small actions. Small actions become strong habits. Strong habits build powerful character. Powerful character create extraordinary lives. That is the key. As soon as this audiobook ends, don't search for another video. Don't wait for another motivational speech. Don't promise yourself you'll start later. Stand up. Open your calendar. Choose your hour. Write it down. Protect it as if your future depends on it, because it does. From this day forward, become the person who keeps promises. Become the person who finishes what they start. Become the person who chooses growth over comfort. Become the person who acts while others hesitate. Become the person who protects the hour before the world can steal it. And every morning, before your day begins, remind yourself of these words. 1 hour is enough. You have a choice. Consistency creates confidence. Discipline creates freedom. Small actions become great lives. You don't need their permission.
Protect the hour. Protect your future. Carry those words with you. Live them. Repeat them. Become them. Because the greatest transformation is not earning more, it is becoming more. More disciplined, more focused, more courageous, more intentional, more faithful to your own potential. 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 life at a time. This is your hour. This is your choice. This is your beginning. Now go and build the life your future self will thank you for.